Hi, this is Warren Sprouse. You're on the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We look at life through a biblical lens and solve all the world's problems in 2 hours or less. Tonight, we're looking at post-Christian America. Have you ever heard the phrase snowflake generation? Do you know what that means? Now, we all know what snowflakes do, right? The sun hits them, they're gone. Well, now we apparently seem to have a whole bunch of young people who do the same kind of thing whenever reality hits them. These are the ones that do cry-ins to test cry-ins when their tests are canceled. The wording was strange. These are the ones who want hotlines for women upset over mansplaining. You know what mansplaining is, right? Well, mansplaining is when a man is attempting to explain to a woman something that she thinks he doesn't know anything about, that she's the expert on. It usually has something to do with womanhood. Or life or children or something of that nature. She has to put up with it, and he's explaining it, and they get so upset about this they need a hotline. These poor millennials who have spent their lives getting rewards and trophies even when they don't deserve it can't handle being an adult. You remember when kids started getting graduation ceremonies and certificates for kindergarten? That's about the time this started. Well, in the aftermath of the Donald Trump victory, we hear almost every day about people who cannot believe he won. Not only can they not accept this reality, they don't seem to be able to move or function. We seem to have an entire generation of people unable to accept anything or anyone who doesn't believe or act the same as they do. We have university professors who canceled exams after the election to help students who might have been upset about the results. We have cry-ins being organized around the country. Groups of young adult children actually sitting around in a circle crying about the pain they feel at the fall of Hillary Clinton. It's all about feelings. You remember the song in the 1970s, Feelings? It's all about feelings, nothing more than feelings. What happens when a society focuses merely on their feelings? Well, at the very least, when that occurs, logic is gone. It goes right out the window. And right behind it comes hypocrisy. An hypocrisy that's totally frustrating to watch. In World War II, the average soldier was 26 years of age. Many of the men and women serving in World War II were younger than that. These were young people who grew up during the Great Depression. They had nothing. And when they got about the time they could go out and get married or get a job or both, they got called up. They didn't have a choice. After years of being away from their comfort zone and risking their lives in the face of horrendous realities, these men returned home and simply went back to work. They picked up where they left off and began to build a life for themselves and for their families. What was their attitude? I lived with one. I'll tell you what their attitude was. All right, that's over. Let's move on. Today, young people can't get past someone saying something that upset them. Imagine a World War II vet coming home and demanding a healing circle, or Germans demanding a recount or a do-over after losing the war. And you have to ask yourself, who raised these children? Well, They were raised by baby boomers, children that were conceived after the war, grew up in the 50s, came of age in the 50s and 60s. These are being raised by Gen Xers. That's the baby boomers' babies. Young people who feel they didn't get a fair shake. Parents who never wanted their children to feel less than important, so they never said no to them. How is it that those children are going to raise children? Well, they're going to do what their parents did, only worse. Now, nothing is more unsettling to me in this area than watching a grown man explaining to his small child why he or she can't have whatever it is they want. I mean, it's like fingernails on glass. Ugh. The word is no. And the bottom line is, because I said so. I'm the parent. I know better. You don't understand. I can't explain it to you, and I'm not going to debate it. Oh, no, we're going to debate it. We're going to have this conversation. Well, according to a recent article in a publication called The Guardian, this is becoming a problem in the West. That a couple of enterprising individuals saw and concluded they had a solution. And so they started an educational system they call the adulting school. The first official session of the school took place last week. And during their early presentation on time management, a number of their 26-year-old attendees just trickled in late. Their parents had sent them. They came in late. They noisily found seats. They kibitzed around with each other and others around them, oblivious to anything that might have been going on. Did I mention there were cupcakes in the afternoon? The experts claim young people today have no script to success. Their parents apparently did, but these kids don't have that. Well, I'm grandparent to some of these people, and I'm going to tell you, our script consisted of growing up, going to college or going to work, securing a stable or at least a secure job, getting married, having children, and in that order, buying a home and raising those children, retiring at 65 with a pension to enjoy the rest of your life. That was the script. Millennials apparently don't have such scripts. They're largely stranded on the side of the road. They're living at home, dabbling at a job, depending on parents to support them until they find themselves, or until they can get a good job, preferably one that's dumped in their lap. It's always funny if it weren't so tragic. But how did we get there? Well, we got there largely because parents don't know how to parent. They won't say no for fear of damaging the child's psyche or self-esteem. They don't want to holler at the children. Don't necessarily have to, unless they're not listening and you want to get their attention. They didn't like getting hollered at, so they're not going to holler at the child. They won't be dogmatic about what needs to be done because they don't want to be the authority. They didn't like that when they were children because I said so. And they believe children deserve to be treated with respect. Now, these are the same parents who are afraid of being viewed as stingy or selfish, so they give their children pretty much whatever they want. And these children grow up not knowing what life is really about, nor how to manage time and or money. They just want to be entertained because that's what mom did. What's the solution to this? Well, parents need to make sure children know that they, the children, are not the center of the universe. Number one, you're not in charge and you're not the center of the universe. You're in a system. You're not anywhere high on the pecking order. Secondly, parents need to make sure children have responsibilities. Now, it may take a little bit to get them oriented to actually fulfilling those responsibilities. It's called training, and you need to stay with that. But they need the responsibilities, and they need a penalty if they fail. Not if they can't, but if they can and they don't. Thirdly, parents need to make sure children's desires are on the bottom of the list where family needs are concerned. Not putting them on the bottom, but recognizing that they are on the bottom. The child's desires don't rise up here. They're way down there, and if we can, we will. Fourthly, parents need to make sure children get a good sense of being seen and not heard, at least once in a while. It's good for them. Oh, and they need chores. Chores that are monitored for competent and timely completion. Not just, you have the chores. Did you do your chores, honey? Yes, Mom. Okay. No. You never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. You go check. They didn't do it. You come back and you ask them, did you do it? Why would you do that? You need to know if you have a liar. It's important that children learn not to lie. Lying is destructive on every level. You're going to get hurt by this lie or this lying child. Can't afford to let them do it. The reality is they need a good education, whatever that means and whatever that takes. And some of that education takes place in a classroom. Most of it takes place in life, at home, out in the field playing, wherever they are. You can't leave God out of the equation and still get a good product. That's a reality. Which brings me to reading. How many of you like to read? How many of you like to read enough to actually do it? How many read on a regular basis? I found what I consider a truly silly report this week about readers in America. Apparently, several months ago, Pew Research came out with an annual report on the number of books that are read in the United States. The result? More than 25% of Americans didn't read a book in the last year. Can you imagine that? Now, the non-readers are spread all across the demographic groups. Blacks, Hispanics, rural dwelling individuals being just a few of the demographies, with large portions of non-readers. And they were ready to admit that one reason is our digital society. We're fed a continuous stream of information, and they don't come from books, radio, television, other audible sources, visual sources. Is it really necessary for Americans to pick up a book and read? Well, it may be they don't read as much as they should because when they were children, nobody made them read. Do you make your children read? Well, I tell them in school they learn to read. Make them read. If they are readers, they'll be better students. They'll learn more. And if they learn more, they'll be more productive. They'll be wiser. They'll be more equipped. They'll move out of your house sooner. The failure one person noted to read, or to at least read good books, enfeebles the vision and strengthens our most fatal tendency, which is the belief that the here and now is all there is. They haven't read about the past, and they're not reading about the future. They're just living in the now, which makes our recent presidential election more understandable. huge numbers of people being influenced to vote, not based on core doctrines, historic precedent, but on how a candidate looks, or how or what he or she said the last time they opened their mouth. Did you read a book this year? I didn't. I read every day. I might be considered an insatiable reader, but I haven't read any books. I have several I'm reading. I'm reading Glenn Beck's book, Liars. I'm reading Rennie Shower's book on what on earth is God doing. I'm reading through strong systematic theology. And I bought a book, Kindle book last week. E.M. Bounds on Satan, his personality, power, and overthrow. That book is one of several in that genre that I'm reading as I make notes for my next book if I ever get time to write it. The truth is, I read 2 or 3 dozen websites every week, most of them every day, looking to see where the culture's going. And I justify this by saying I do it for you. Well, I do it for the show, but I do the show because I want to know. Context is important in life. Where are we? How did we get here? Where are we going and why? But to just sit down and read a book, I'm not likely to do that. I haven't done it lately, but I might when there isn't anything else I can do. If nothing extra is added to my schedule, I have less than 40 hours a week to do whatever I want. And that also includes show prep and reading, as well as editing a book for a dear departed friend and sister in the Lord. That's about 6 hours a day, almost half of which are evening hours, which are not particularly productive after working 6 or 7 hours. I work in the morning from about 8 o'clock until noon, and then I go to work. And I get home between 7 and 7:30, and I try to get something done. Usually it's just going through websites because my brain is mushy and my eyes don't function well. And there's always phones ringing and people dropping in. There's a weary factor involved here. And if you're married, women are not particularly happy about being alone all the time. And a woman can be alone in a house where a man lives and is. The author of this piece on these children and all the rest of it and the reading says, if the trend of having fewer Americans read books continue, we will condemn ourselves to a future of stagnant and narrow thought. I agree. How about you? But I don't think it's future. I think it's already here.